You remember her. The 9-year-old with the powerhouse voice who captured America's heart on the America's Got Talent stage. You remember the golden buzzers, the standing ovations. But what you might not know is that just a few years earlier, that same girl was in a hospital bed fighting for her life. Her story didn't start on a stage. It started with a battle for survival that would lead to a surprising new chapter you won't see coming. This is the story of Angelica Hale, a name synonymous with impossible talent and childlike wonder. We watched her command a stage with the presence of a seasoned diva, all while flashing a smile that could melt the coldest of hearts. She was the pint-sized powerhouse, the runner-up who felt like a winner to so many. But the narrative that played out on our screens was just one act, in a much bigger, more dramatic play. The real story, the one that unfolded away from the cameras, is one of unimaginable struggle, profound resilience, and a stunning transformation. What really happened to Angelica Hale after the confetti fell? Where did that incredible journey lead? The answer is more inspiring than you might think, taking her from the brink of death to the bright lights of the professional stage. To understand how she got there, we have to go back to the beginning, before the music. Before the fame to a quiet hospital room where a little girl's fight for life was just beginning, you think you know her story from America's Got Talent. The little girl with the big voice, the golden buzzer prodigy. But that's not even half of it. The real story of Angelica Hale isn't about the notes she can hit. It's about the odds she has beaten. Just a few years before she stood on that stage, doctors gave her almost no chance of survival. Her journey didn't just lead to a record deal. It led to a place where her story of survival would take on a whole new meaning, a major professional stage debut. This is what really happened. Long before the world knew her name, Angelica Hale was a singer, not in the sense of a child prodigy being groomed for stardom, but in the purest way imaginable. Born on July 31, 2007, in Atlanta, Georgia, to her American father, James Hale, and Filipino mother, Eva Belando, Angelica's world was filled with sound from the very start. It wasn't a calculated path. It was just who she was. Her parents recall that she was singing almost as soon as she could talk. There's a charming story Angelica has shared about singing in public restrooms as a little girl because the acoustics were just that good a habit her poor mom had to endure. It speaks to a passion that couldn't be contained. It wasn't for an audience. It was for the sheer joy of it. Her parents, recognizing this raw talent, supported it with love, filling their home with music and even starting a family tradition of seeing the Phantom of the Opera annually. They nurtured her passion, enrolling her in piano and voice lessons, not to create a star, but to give their daughter an outlet for the music that so clearly lived inside her. This was a happy, normal childhood, defined by family and music. Angelica was a bright, energetic kid who was already starting to perform at local events, not for fame, but for the experience. She was building a foundation of stage presence that would become invaluable later. But this peaceful world was about to be shattered. A storm was gathering, one that would not only threaten to silence her voice forever, but would threaten her very existence. The world was about to learn that the strength in this little girl wasn't just in her vocal cords. It was forged in a fire of unimaginable adversity. In 2012, when Angelica was just 4 years old, a severe bacterial pneumonia spiraled into a life-or-death crisis. The infection was so aggressive that it led to the devastating diagnosis of septic shock. Sepsis is the body's extreme, life-threatening response to an infection, where the body's own defense systems start to attack its tissues and organs. For little Angelica, the consequences were catastrophic. She experienced multiple organ failure. Her kidneys shut down and her right lung was damaged. To give her any chance of survival, doctors at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta placed her into a medically induced coma. She was then put on the most extreme form of life support available, an ECMO machine, which does the work of the heart and lungs to give the organs a chance to heal. She remained on this machine for 12 harrowing days. For her parents, it was an unimaginable nightmare. Their vibrant, singing daughter was unconscious, connected to a labyrinth of machines. her life hanging by the thinnest of threads. Doctors gave them the soul-crushing news that her chances of survival were terrifyingly low. She spent 80 consecutive days in the hospital, a lifetime for a 4-year-old and an eternity for her parents. This was Angelica's great ordeal. But against all odds, this tiny fighter held on. Her father later recalled that even through the hum of the ventilator, he swore he could sometimes hear the faint trace of a hum, a sign that the music inside her was refusing to be extinguished. Miraculously, she began to pull through. When she finally woke up, she was too weak to even lift a crayon, but her spirit was unbroken. She had survived the storm. She had stared death in the face and won, but the battle had left its scars. While she was alive, her kidneys had failed to recover. Angelica had made it through the fire, but her journey was far from over. Surviving septic shock was a miracle, but it wasn't the end of Angelica's medical journey. Her kidneys, ravaged by the infection, never recovered. For the next year and a half, she was dependent on dialysis to survive a grueling process where a machine filters the blood for hours at a time. Despite this, it was during this challenging period that music became her lifeline. Her family vowed to never take life for granted, and for Angelica, that meant pouring her heart into her passion. She began taking professional singing lessons and performing at charity events, often for the very hospitals that had treated her. It was her way of giving back, of turning her pain into something powerful, but dialysis wasn't a permanent solution. The ultimate hope was a kidney transplant. The search for a donor began, but in a testament to the profound bond between a mother and child, the perfect match was right by her side. Her mother, Eva, was a match. On September 13, 2013, Angelica received a second chance at life from her own mother. Eva donated one of her kidneys, an act of selfless love that freed her daughter from the constraints of dialysis. The surgery was a success. In 2023, Angelica shared a heartfelt photo with her mom, celebrating a decade of health made possible by her mother's incredible sacrifice. This was the reward at the end of her ordeal, life itself. With a healthy body and a fortified spirit, Angelica was no longer just a survivor. She was a young artist with a powerful story, and her voice was ready to be heard. With her health restored, Angelica Hale was ready to chase her dream on one of the biggest platforms in the world. The 12th season of America's Got Talent in 2017, at just 9 years old, she walked onto that massive stage, a tiny figure with a story bigger than life. For her audition, she chose Andrade's anthem, Rise Up. It was her testimony set to music. What came out was a voice of stunning power and emotion that defied her small frame, earning her a spot in the next round. Her journey on a GT was a series of triumphs. In the Judge Cuts round, her performance of Alicia Keys' Girl on Fire was so moving that guest judge Chris Hardwick hit the golden buzzer, sending her straight to the live shows. Week after week, she delivered singing Clarity by Zedd in the quarterfinals and David Guetta's Without You in the semifinals. She advanced all the way to the top 10 finals, where she performed Symphony by Clean Bandit. In the finale, she performed Stronger, What Doesn't Kill You, alongside Kelly Clarkson and fellow contestant Kechi Okuchi. In the end, she finished as the runner-up to ventriloquist Darcy Lynn, becoming the youngest runner-up in the show's history, but her AGT story didn't end there. In 2019, she returned for America's Got Talent, The Champions. This time, she performed Rachel Platten's fight song. Judge Howie Mandel, recognizing her growth, gave her a second golden buzzer, making her one of only a handful of contestants to ever receive the honor twice. Though she didn't win the season, she had once again proven she was a champion. Her time on a GT was the triumphant return that established her as a force to be reckoned with, finishing as the runner-up on America's Got Talent was a spectacular launchpad. Angelica quickly became a familiar face at major national events, performing at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and lending her powerful voice to games for the NFL, MLB, and NHL. She also began her journey as a recording artist, releasing her debut single, Feel the Magic, which she wrote herself. This was a critical step in creating her own musical identity. Beyond music, Angelica ventured into acting. She landed voice roles in the Disney Junior series, TOTS and Chuggington, and starred in her first feature film, American Reject, which was released in 2022. Perhaps most importantly, Angelica used her fame for good. Drawing from her own life-altering experience, she became a powerful advocate. In 2018, she became a national spokesperson for the Sepsis Alliance's It's About Time campaign. She also became the first-ever child ambassador for the National Kidney Foundation, speaking out about kidney disease and organ donation. This work wasn't a footnote to her career. It was central to who she is. She was turning her scars into a platform for change. She was no longer just the little girl from AGT. She was a recording artist, an actress, and a dedicated philanthropist. The final stage of the hero's journey is the resurrection, where the hero returns with newfound power. For Angelica Hale, this came in the form of a major professional stage debut. In late 2023, she starred in the pre-Broadway world premiere of *Boop, the musical Asterisk at Chicago's CIBC Theater. This wasn't a small part. It was a demanding role in a major new musical, hoping to land on Broadway. The show, based on the iconic cartoon character Betty Boop, featured an all-star creative team, including legendary director Jerry Mitchell and music by multi-Grammy winner David Foster. Angelica was cast as Trisha, a spunky, 17-year-old artist and cosplayer obsessed with Betty Boop, who befriends her idol when she magically appears in the present day. The role was a perfect fit, allowing her to showcase not just her powerhouse vocals, but also her acting chops. The journey to the stage began when Angelica auditioned for a workshop of the show at just 14 years old. She recognized David Foster's name but never expected to get the part. She dove deep into the world of Betty Boop, watching every animated short she could find to become a genuine fan, just like her character. The role also presented a new challenge: dancing. Angelica confessed she was nervous about the dance requirements, but the creative team saw her potential. Her performance in Chicago was met with praise, with critics noting her infectious energy, an amazing voice, which had only grown more powerful since her TV debut. The experience of performing 8 shows a week was transformative, doing wonders for her confidence. Her successful run in a high-stakes professional production marked a new pinnacle in her career. She had made the transition from a beloved talent show contestant to a respected theater professional, from a hospital bed to a major stage production. Her journey was a testament to her talent, work ethic, and unyielding resilience. What an incredible journey! From a fight for survival to the bright lights of a professional stage, Angelica Hale's story is a powerful reminder of what it means to persevere. If you've been inspired by her story, you can follow her ongoing journey on her social media platforms. And for more stories about incredible talents who overcame the odds, make sure to hit that subscribe button. So, what really happened to Angelica Hale? She didn't just grow up, she rose up. When you look at it, her life is a stunning real world hero's journey. She faced the ultimate ordeal, a near-fatal illness that threatened to end her story before it began. She received the reward of a second chance, a life-saving gift from her mother that became the catalyst for everything that followed. Her road back was a triumphant march across the America's Got Talent stage, where she captured the hearts of a nation. And finally, her resurrection as a master of her craft, culminating in a celebrated professional stage debut, solidified her status as a true and versatile star. The little girl with the big voice has become a young woman with an even bigger story. She transformed her personal struggles into a public platform for advocacy, giving a voice to those fighting similar battles with sepsis and kidney disease. She has navigated the treacherous waters of child stardom with a grace and maturity far beyond her years, building a diverse career in music, acting, and theater. Her journey from an ICU to a world premiere musical is more than just an inspiring tale. It's a testament to the power of resilience, the strength of family, and the healing magic of music. Angelica Hale's story didn't end when the cameras stopped rolling on a GT. In reality, that was just the prologue. The main act is still being written, and with a voice that can move mountains and a spirit that has already conquered the impossible, one can only imagine what breathtaking new chapters lie ahead.